on page 22 of the draft local area plan. And this theme is about effective and efficient infrastructure. Strategy 10, Michael, is about the sequencing of new urban lands, and they must be integrated with strategic transport planning. Can you tell me exactly what this means? And if you're able to give any specific examples, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, sure. So all cities require infrastructure, everything from water, sewer pipes, pumping stations, electricity. They also need roads and footpaths and cycle paths and public transport infrastructure. And we've taken all that into account when we've been thinking about these future growth and change options. Now, some of the infrastructure that we might need in the future is really expensive. So some of the big ticket transport projects, so for example, the duplication of Main South Road to Aldinga that's planned for the next few years, there's $300 million attached to that piece of infrastructure. And other future big ticket road infrastructure projects would be also in the many, many millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. So we've got to think really carefully about how we prioritize new urban land so that we can stage that infrastructure in a way that makes sense, in a way that affords. And generally speaking, that means thinking about the northern part of the city first before we start developing in the far south.
Okay, thank you. I think very closely connected to that one, the next strategy is around coordinating land use planning with priority trunk infrastructure, such as water, sewer, power, local roads and other services by partnership with utilities and developers. Priority trunk infrastructure, again, layperson, can you talk me through that?
Yeah, so now we're talking more about the local infrastructure around a development area. So additional water mains, additional sewer connections, upgrades to treatment plants, that kind of thing. Okay. And that's usually delivered as it's a blend of developer-funded infrastructure. Maybe the utilities like SA Water would do some of it, maybe the council would do some of it. And ideally, there'd be some quite strong integration of those local infrastructure needs so that it's done efficiently and effectively. And so we've suggested a few ways that might be done.
Okay, thank you. Finally, on page 22, strategy number 12, is that for established areas undergoing change, plan for local and community infrastructure needs such as stormwater, greening local streets, active transport and open space. So I'm assuming this is different to the trunk infrastructure that you've just mentioned. Can you tell me a bit about what you mean by local and community infrastructure needs?
Yeah, so I think this is an area that often gets forgotten, and I think this is really important. Because when we do see change in existing suburbs, and I mentioned before in one of our other videos, we might need to upgrade the footpaths, we might need additional street trees for greening and shade and landscape character, we might need to upgrade public open space, playgrounds, etc. We might also need to upgrade the local stormwater networks. The pipes and pits in the street might not be able to cope with some of the existing, the additional demands from the additional housing. So we've got a plan for that as well. And we've suggested that council maybe look at doing a pilot project, picking a suburb that's undergoing change and doing a neighbourhood level plan to say, well, here's the footpaths that we need to upgrade. Here are the open spaces we need to spend some money on in the next few years. Here's the streets that need new street trees so that the new development is done in tandem with the local community infrastructure as well.
Brilliant, thank you. This is all sounding great. The plan is here, or the draft plan is here, and people can comment on it. But what happens next? Obviously, there's the process of it going from a draft plan into an actual plan. Can you talk me through that process? But also ongoing, there's some mention on page 23 around an ongoing governance mechanism. Can you just talk me through that?
Yeah, so first of all, this draft plan, which is out for consultation now, and we've got opportunities to provide feedback in the form of surveys and online discussion forums. And based on that feedback, a final plan would go back to the City of Onkaparinga and the State Planning Commission for their endorsement. But that's all very well. How do these strategies and actions get delivered over the next few years? And we think it's really important that there's some kind of framework for the council and the state government to continue to work together to guide and monitor these strategies and actions. Clearly, different organisations, the council might be responsible for some things are more state government responsibilities, but the idea of coordinating an ongoing sort of governance of the planning issues that we've talked about in this draft plan, that's really important. And without that, there's a risk that all plans will just go to the shelf and be forgotten about.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Final reminder before I let everyone go, this is open for consultation now, and we're really keen for people to get involved. So there is an online discussion forum. Please tell us what you think about the strategies that we've been discussing. You can also fill in a survey if you'd rather not be part of that conversation. But thank you, Michael. That's been brilliant to hear all about the strategies. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you.